Looks like we're live.
I think so.
And of
You're
course, just
looking
before
you're
we went
looking
live,
very golden.
yeah, sorry, I can fix that here. I have the
Are
power.
you in front of a
Also,
fireplace?
yeah, I think so. It's warm over here. I got a quick question for you. Do you remember a long time ago there was a guide to programming called Wise Guide to Programming? Maybe it was Wise Guide to Ruby, like
Wise.
WHY apostrophe. Yeah, it was. The author was Why the Lucky Stiff. Does this ring a bell to you?
No.
It was an unhinged guide to programming, which I remember because it was so different than anything else I had
Hmm.
read before. It was so completely off the wall that even the illustration examples were just very strange. I think you might be able to find it on the Internet Archive because I went looking for it recently, just to sort of tell somebody how they could get started in the industry. Like an industry that you don't understand, that's very complex, it's different than anything you've seen before, how to get started. So
Hmm.
why the Lucky Stiff? I think was the quote unquote author. They were
Wise
essentially the
poignant
unhinged.
guide.
That sounds about right. Wise Poignant Guide. And Wise Poignant Guide was sort of just walk you through an intro to programming. I think the goal was to sort of land you with Ruby on Rails, but this is sort of where it started. And it came to mind because I haven't seen anything written this way for a long time until January 1st. There was an article called Welcome to Gastown, released by Steve Yegg. Have you heard of Steve before?
I've never heard of either of these two people that were
Okay, well,
the,
Steve's last name starts with Y, and listen, this isn't the smoking gun that maybe I need, but I feel like these writing styles are very similar. It's like before AI, you could generally tell who wrote an article by the style of writing that they have. Maybe the sweariness or using
mm-hmm.
words in place of sweariness. Uh, I read an article. I didn't read it at Gen 1. I apologize. I was trying to stay away from computers while I was on vacation, so I didn't touch this at all. And I feel like I'm glad I didn't because Gastown is a mess. Now, I gotta be real here. I live very close to Gastown in Vancouver. This is not that Gastown.
I, I
It's
had a
Gas Space
I
Town.
I read this article. I have no idea. I still don't really know what it is.
Perfect. All right. So welcome to Gastown. Population, you and me for now. We'll talk about what that looks like. Gastown is an analogy for a company. And I think as somebody who just wrote a book with Gene Kim, Steve maybe could have talked about the Toyota way or a business or a factory, but perhaps he got bored with this analogy. But it does feel like imagine you're Jeff Bezos, which he doesn't talk about in this article, but definitely does in the emergency guide to how to run Gastown because it's a mess. So he goes into Jeff Bezos mode, which is essentially imagine being a CEO of a bunch of agents. Maybe you hired, and I don't mean these are not words of disparagement, but perhaps you've hired Capgemini or some other consulting
Hmm.
agency, but you've hired like 200 consultants and they all arrive at your door the same day, the same time, because you said show up Monday 9 a.m. And sure as heck they did. They're at your door and they're like, okay, just call us polecats if you don't mind. Okay, the polecats are here. What do we do? And it's like, shoot, good point. So I think the main thing about Gastown is it's similar to spec-driven development. So you define what you want to do, and then you just release a horde. I feel like
Right.
swarm is maybe too little a word for the amount of work that you're tokens and work and stuff that you're doing to this. Like, and listen, you can use Claude, you can use Codex. I was using Olama for a bit of it too. You can use Olama Cloud if you want to. It's essentially a wrapper
Hmm.
to piecemeal send out tasks to a bunch of agents, and it gets bad really, really quickly. The first thing it did as an app that requires Tmux is absolutely obliterate my Tmux config so that I couldn't use Tmux anymore. In a way that I've been using Tmux for a long time. I'm not great at it, but in a way that I could not decipher. Like
Wow.
there's no Stack Overflow for this. You essentially, I think the first thing it does is take over your Tmux. So you can't attach to any sessions. And like you can't list any sessions, you can't see any sessions. If you're not in the session, you can't control things. And I was actually kind of lost until I decided to make Claude the mayor of
Mm.
this town and let Claude figure out. And I think Claude is a way better mayor than I am. I think I'm more of a mayor of mayors, if that makes sense. Is a Microsoft term? It's like an MOM kind of.
Hmm.
So I ended up installing Gastown on two computers, my studio in a VM and my laptop in a VM. And I had them essentially work on tasks together. And it was very fun to see, especially these workers like you and I, clobbering each other's commits, forgetting work they were supposed to
Hmm.
do. It was kind of a bit of a PTSD moment that reminded me of times that I've been in crunches where I've
Hmm.
had to deal with teams that are 20 or bigger, and you have to tell them what to do, but also split up their tasks so that they work
Right.
on things and don't trip over each other, but also get work done.
Right.
Right? Like, do you pair them up? It's like like I don't know actually, and I'm learning
Yeah.
right now. The other thing I noticed in Steve's manual that came up after this is like, if you go into Jeff Bezos mode too often, you're probably going to need to crash out. And crash out is more like I think you and I might just say crash. I think kids say crash out, but you might need a cot next to your computer in order to lie down on and nap for about 90 minutes. Because being a Jeff Bezos esque CEO where you're firing and hiring and
Right.
stack ranking and assigning tasks, it's not fun. And in fact, it's so far away from coding
Right.
that it almost hurts, except for the features land, the tests actually run, and the software quote unquote builds itself in a very disturbing way,
Hmm.
in a way where it feels like you're maybe more of a product manager, just as we've been
Right.
speaking, but like actually you're not writing
Yeah.
code. Writing code will slow you down, it's expensive. Reviewing code will slow you down, it's expensive. You have to just forge forward. Anyway, I've been playing with Gascon for about 3 days at this point in time. I can't say it's the best orchestrator I've ever used. I think Claude Flow might be a little bit better.
Hmm.
We talked a bit about
Yeah.
Roundtable before, but it does allow you to divvy up tasks amongst agents, including ones that maybe, let's just say, close to your limit. So I think we talked earlier about how I've got an Anthropic Max plan. I thought it was a Max 200 plan. It is, in fact, not. It's a Max 100 plan that I signed up for on the
Hmm.
iPhone, which is way more expensive than signing up to Claude Max itself.
Okay.
So I canceled it, but it's still running on because I paid for it. And then I signed up for Max 200 on a different email account because I guess that's what you got to do when you got an iPhone account. But be careful because they want a unique phone number. So, I guess I was okay.
Hmm.
I'm now running two Claude Max accounts on two rigs that are running two gas towns, including unlimited codecs as well as Olama. And it's a marvel. I think we're at a 1,000 pull requests at this point in time that it's chewed through. It is pretty phenomenal. These aren't hard problems. I'm just doing virtualization stuff,
Yeah.
but it's fun to watch it go up and down the stack
Right.
and figure things out. It's been amazing. I don't think this is a be all end all orchestrator for 2026, but I feel like
It being
if we're
only
gonna
January.
it being only January, I feel like orchestration is going to be a bigger topic this year than it was last. Light LLM, I think, was kind of the hero in that
And yeah,
regard
I
last
don't
year.
understand. I don't really.
Can we
I
break
mean,
it down for
I
you?
see some of the value of it, but
Yep,
generally, it's not that. So, did you see anything about TL Draw?
I did not. What's TL Draw?
So, TL Draw is this free drawing program, like drawing flowcharts and that type of stuff, or whatever concept you want to get across. They recently said, okay, all PRs, we're stopping PRs at the moment because there are
Right.
too many AI generated PRs that are coming through. They're just garbage. There was another one for O Camel, I think, where there was like a 18,000 line PR that, the people who submitted it said, well, they're not going to support it. I mean, it fixes all these things. And all these other projects who are just saying, look, if you as the human who is representing this code, if you can't say that
Right.
you understand it and know what it does and you're going to back it, then we don't want it. I mean, it doesn't matter if it solves everything. If if you don't, I mean, if you haven't looked at it at all, well, we don't want this garbage in our system. And yeah, and so I mean, when you have
I'm just
all
smiling because
these,
Steve's like the opposite. It's like, yeah, that's perfect. I'm going to go over
but
here in my sandbox, my playpen.
I mean, if you have all these agents all working together generating code, some of them will be eliminating code, but a lot of them are going to be creating more stuff. How can you possibly know? How can you possibly keep track of all this stuff?
Yeah. So the answer, I think, and this isn't from Steve, it's more from the community. The answer, I think, is more in like release management. So if you don't want pull requests that don't hit a certain bar,
Right,
then I think an easy way is to say it needs to pass all the tests, or
right,
like you have to have tests that pass where you have to be this mature, and that'll probably quash a lot of things. But also, like, how do you enforce it? It's fairly
Yeah.
difficult. And I
Yeah.
am seeing repositories do this, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's actually a good thing. I think the first one that we talked about was for curl. Might have
Mm.
been a year ago at this point in time, where he was saying like no more. And at the end of the
Didn't the
discussion, he's like,
creator of
well,
Curl just
actually,
die?
really?
Or pass away, or some like, or leave the pro? Was that Curl, or maybe I'm thinking something
Oh,
else?
ooh, I don't think so.
Okay.
That's Daniel, right? I don't think Daniel. Okay, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think he's still
Let me
alive.
start a rumor.
Yeah, I remember because it used to be. I think it was Daniel at hacks with two
Right.
x's.se
It's
is why I
SE, yeah.
remember his name. Yeah, because back in the day it was pretty funny. This is early 2000s lore here. No, I believe he's still alive. But the funny thing he was saying is that he did actually just before the talk approve two PRs that were AI generated that the human said were, and they had reviewed and did understand and did say like here's what to do, et cetera, et cetera. So I think the main thing is make just because you've got AI, this tool doesn't mean that you can just shove 18,000 line of code updates into code repos. But Steve will basically say, and it's kind of like it's not vibe coding, and it's not really beads driven development or vibe driven development, like you said. It's more like running a company. And I think he would say basically he doesn't see the code, he doesn't want to see the code, he doesn't see it the disks, he just blindly approves the PRs and just pushes forward on this
Mm.
project. And I think that's the experiment and maybe why it's responsible to distance yourself from this
Right.
sort of thing. Also, I think we're at the point now where the quality of the code coming out is hit that bar where
Right.
it's probably okay for you to, like, one of the rules I'll say is like, listen, you can't add a new document unless you're removing two documents. So if you want
Mm.
to add a new synopsis in Markdown, awesome. Did you remove two other docs? No.
Right.
Okay, so like we need to get to the point where we don't have 50,000 files in this
Right.
repo. Let's be responsible about it. So I think Claude will generally try to output Markdown files. It's
Yeah.
favorite task. It's like summaries. I'm
Yeah.
here for summaries all day, every day, and it's great until your repo is full of hundreds of Markdown file summaries that
Right.
are just completely useless as job logs or what have you. They're
Yep.
garbage. But that's it. Is setting up those rules, saying like, hey, the supervisor of the polecats in this case will require that they remove lines of code as opposed to adding them, that the comments are there, the docs are updated or what have you. But it's more about that scaffolding, those guardrails, I think, around what your orchestrator is doing
Mm-hmm.
is what's important. I think maybe something a little bit better in here. Did I mention Claude Swarm before? I feel like that might be
Hmm.
like a midpoint between the two in terms of, I think it also uses beads, but something that is good at handling running out of context and resuming, for example, which is a pretty big problem. Dealing with agents that forget their tasks or conveniently don't do their tasks or say the task is too complicated 30 times in a row, so you've got to like assign it to some other quote unquote agent. I've definitely had those issues with Claude, and it feels like you're burning tokens for no reason. Maybe it's built into Claude, but as an end road, I guess, with an unlimited plan, it feels like this is a situation, but I don't think it's going to remain like this forever. So
And
I
you
feel like,
mentioned
go ahead.
beads. You mentioned beads a couple times. It looks like it's
Sorry,
this project by this Yegi guy that's about
same guy.
memory.
Yeah,
Yep.
so it's
Okay.
basically Git plus SQLite. So imagine distributed
Mm.
SQLite, or
Yep.
like SQLite's a file, I think. So SQLite living in your repo that you can move around and essentially synchronize up. But it's essentially a way
Mm.
to watch tasks. Beads are like tasks. It's like I don't want to say simplified, but it's similar to a Kanban board. Is how I view
Mm-hmm.
it, or
Okay.
Jira, or Git, or maybe Perforce or something like that, or Git Worktree. I think it's essentially an alternative to Git Worktrees in order to distribute your tasks. Yeah, so
Cool.
not a glowing recommendation for Gastown, but I am
Yeah.
having a blast playing with it, and I think there are some illustrations of how it actually works. But the main thing I'm saying is that you need monitoring. Like you can't
Mm.
just put 40 agents on a problem without assuming that there's
Right.
going to be issues. So I'm starting to log and look at CPU
Mm-hmm.
and GPU resources for the rigs that are in this these two towns.
I thought it was interesting in the article. It said, don't use this if you care
Yes,
about where money comes from.
yes, yes.
Um,
Now, interestingly enough, and this is a complete aside, but did you hear about the gas token that Steve was being paid as well?
no.
Okay, so apparently somebody set up a meme coin, but the way that these meme coins can work
Hmm.
now is the creators can be attributed the profits for the not the dollar amount, but the traffic on this quote unquote fig market. So imagine
Mm.
if you and I were betting, like I don't think Steve's gonna make it. Like maybe he'll pass away, like the Curl created it. I'm being facetious here. I'm so sorry. So I'm betting him against him, kind of like a poly
Uh-huh.
market. Like I'm betting against Steve. This is my coin that
Right.
certifies I just don't think Steve's gonna make this project work.
Yeah.
And you, on the other hand, be like, "Ah, Steve's amazing. This is fantastic." And all we're doing is arguing. We're betting against each other. But every bet we take has a certain amount that we're paying, so we can have this
Hmm.
friendly bet. But Steve can be assigned that profit by just his Twitter alias and can go in and prove his existence on Twitter, and then take these coins, which happened. In fact, I
Wow.
think he got paid out. I want to say $45,000 at first. It might have gone up to 75 at some point in time, and then it crashed actually. And funnily enough, it crashed. Like they stopped trading basically because he said he was going back to work on this full time because it's all consuming, and he doesn't have time to deal with the crypto people, which is like it's totally rational. But it means that there's less debate, I guess, about the future. So
Mm.
then there's less traffic, and it cratered by 80% overnight. Now none of this should matter. Steve, I think, is retired and playing with this for fun. But also in terms of the unlimited source of money, my understanding is he's got 20 Claude Max accounts that are running at the clip of about $4,000 a month. So his run rate basically is being covered by its meme coin transaction fees only,
Wow.
which I thought was like a fun wrinkle to this. Again, not a glowing recommendation for meme coins. As cool as that sounds, definitely don't start a project so you can collect them from some well-meaning people on the internet.
Right.
But that's what happened here, which I thought was an interesting creator economy on top of this whole thing,
Right.
because it kind of caught steam pretty quickly and people started paying attention without really understanding what was going on. And Steve's writing style probably doesn't help. I mean, you don't need to call these
Yeah.
polecats. I think you could say contractors or what have you. Or he says witnesses, but maybe we could say auditors.
Mm.
The mayor of the town could be a supervisor or a CEO. Like there's a lot of easy words we could have used
Right. Right.
for a factory analogy, especially considering you wrote a book with Gene Kim. I mean, the Toyota way is what came to my mind. I'm not sure if I said this already, but that's what I had in my head. Is like he's telling his witnesses
Wait,
to go
what's his
watch it.
connection to Kim?
Oh, sorry, they wrote a book together called Vibe Coding. I'm so sorry,
Okay.
which I have not read, and maybe I
I
should, but like, eh,
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I'll read
I haven't. I don't know why the guy writes books.
it. Which Kim
Yeah.
or Yegi or Yeg? I think Kim's a pretty good everyman author. Again, I won't disparage the books. I've read a few of them.
It's painful to read.
Well, I would
Yeah.
say, what do the kids call it? Mid. It's
Yeah.
pretty mid. In terms of like fictional business books, pretty good. In terms of fictional books, pretty bad. Or
Yeah.
fiction books that I'm sorry, it's not great. I did read Goldrat's The Goal, which they modeled some of their books after, and The Goal is way, way better written, in
Mm.
my opinion. It's also a product of like the 60s or 70s, so it's got
Yeah.
some anachronisms that maybe need to get removed. So I get why you might want to modernize The Goal. It
Yeah.
definitely wasn't as interesting. Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, that's Gastown. It sounds
Well,
like we guess here. Apologies. We've been talking
yeah.
about Steve Yegg's Gastown, and I suppose agent orchestration and maybe analogies and how they can be more harmful than good. Because I don't feel like Gastown's a good analogy for essentially a
Mm.
multi-agent workflow, which is what this is.
So it's interesting. Jay Topham asked, what are your thoughts on AI generated code? Well, roll back to the last 20 minutes, and that's our
Yeah,
opinion on.
yeah. Did we really say, like, listen? I'm totally here for vibe coding. I think specifically, maybe not for me, but for other people, I think the thing that it does for me is like it opens the as like a big open hug to all of the
Right.
people who maybe would be like no code or low code proponents, or people who are into robotic process automation, who want to automate something but don't know how to start, where you can talk to something in a human way and get something out of it. Like, listen, I subscribe to Lovable because I still think it's kind of a paradigm shift, even though I don't get as much utility out of it anymore. Maybe I should stop. But I think that way of describing something, giving you an app, is phenomenal. Also, it just sort of unrelated, but the T-shirt I'm wearing helps really well with like code that you might have deployed to prod that's insecure, or like CI/CD
Right.
platforms that are failing, or builds that are completely messed up because you're using like three versions of Angular within the same app. I mean, all of
Yeah.
these weird problems I've only seen in Gen AI code. Maybe it's because I've
Yeah.
had like again fairly good engineering teams or better, but yeah, I've never seen a lot of these problems that come out of it, and it's fun to troubleshoot, but also like that whodunit it's just not relevant to my day to day. So it doesn't really matter to me what the agents have done. I'd rather them just produce good code. I hate
Right.
to like personify these agents, but basically, I'd like to see good results as opposed to arguing with what happened or figuring out. So I do feel like I'm okay with AI generated code as long as it's like on a VM and it goes through a certain quality bar and there's a human in the loop and they're vetted. And I don't know if I'd like YOLO push things to prod personally,
Hmm.
but I'm over here like YOLO setting up Azure AKS stacks for
Right.
funsies, for demos. Like, I think there's
I
a
mean,
time and a place.
it's
Is
great
all I'm trying
for.
to
I mean,
say.
it depends on what you're doing. Depends on
Yeah.
your the workflow that you're going through. Is this a tool that is helping you generate the code that you're actually writing right now,
Mhm.
um, or is it something where you've said, build me a whatever app, done, and
Right.
it builds you something that I don't see. It's a great thing for a first draft, or for a minimum viable product, to prove an idea. But they never. I mean, people keep saying, "Oh well, this is the thing that's going to go past that first," and it never does. And it's,
Or it's early days. It can only get better. I've heard that
yeah,
before
oh
too,
yeah,
and it has gotten better slowly.
yeah. So I don't know. It depends.
Yeah. I also feel like vibe coding isn't a good description of what people are currently doing. This
Yeah,
feels a little bit more than that. Again, he might say needs driven development, but basically having checks and balances is a
right.
pretty big first step. The other, and this is going to be hard for some people to take, but test driven development is kind of
Yeah,
here to stay with this approach. You need tests. You need to define proper
absolutely.
tests, and you need to make
But then
sure
this is another
there's
thing
no other way
where
to test it.
if the AI is generating the tests, well, are they good tests?
Oh no,
And
sometimes they're assert true, like
yeah,
straight up assert true,
yeah.
like
And
actually
what is
assert
and
true.
if you've got 1,000 tests and 200 of them, or even 50 of them are this assert true, well, now it's as bad as not having anything, because you've got to sift through all this stuff looking for bad. I mean,
Yep.
it's not always going to be. It might be assert true, but written in a very different way that is hard to identify.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
now
especially if
humans,
it's TypeScript. Have you,
yeah.
have you ever seen JavaScript before? I don't know what these people are doing.
Well, at least it's not
What?
Python.
Why are there three equal signs? Like two wasn't enough. Yeah, there are some Python isms that I wasn't necessarily Go as well. Like
Like the fact that it
why?
doesn't work. You
Well,
have to.
Python's kind of
It's
slow.
going to broke.
If we're gonna say
It's going to
anything,
break on your system. Yeah.
or be slow, or be like in the wrong PyVM, or your model has helpfully installed ddtrace from Datadog in your system Python, so everything that runs on your system is sent to Datadog. I've definitely done like all of
Hmm.
these.
Hmm.
Uh, One thing I will say, and this is kind of an aside to all of this, is that if you're using Claude as your quote unquote agent, adding an LSP to Claude is a big help. And one of these code bases was in Swift. Now, listen, I can say bad things about Python and Rust and C++ and C. I really don't know any Swift. It looks okay.
Right.
It looks Java-esque, but I legit don't know what's going on. And the cool thing about the LSP is that your agent can understand what's
Hmm.
going on.
Hmm.
Because I unfortunately didn't. I think I heard some people laughing about IntelliJ apparently does incremental builds really well. And
Mm.
sometimes just having IntelliJ running on your code base if it's Java, you can have Gradle builds running in the background for you. I
Hmm.
think Gradle is Java. At any rate, it can do incremental builds for you, whereas like your little agent in the command line is not going to
Right.
do any of this for you. It's going to do full builds every time. It's going to cause problems. But we're at that point where we're taking little pieces from IDEs and making something different. Whatever the quote unquote agentic
Right.
I guess it's DE because it's not interactive. The development environment, the agentic development environment is different. The ADE, maybe.
Right.
Sorry,
Right.
I don't. I'm not trying to coin new terms here, but
Hmm.
it feels like a different type of code editing process where it might be swarm based or horde based,
Right.
but
Right.
what you're getting out of it is more to do with specs and PRs and diffs than it is code. You're generally not looking at the code.
Those I didn't. I think half the videos that what's the guy's name? Theo. Half the things he puts out,
T3.
I don't watch the video. I see the title or the thumbnail, and that's like, okay, I think I've got the gist of it from there.
Yeah.
But one
He's
of
like,
them
no more
was
Postgres, no more MySQL. What are you talking about, Theo?
one of them recently was about how AI is either great for software, bad for applications, or the other way around. Or I think he was basically saying, um, this is a great being able to vibe code or whatever you want to call it to generate something that is solves your specific need is great, but it's not going to replace the large applications, Photoshop or
Right.
whatever specialized big applications because it's
Right.
it's gonna you're gonna at some point you're gonna have the basics there, and then every change is gonna be one step forward, two steps back, or you're slowly inching forward, and I don't know. I
That,
At least
that
that
is the
was the
Ralph
gist of it.
approach.
Yeah,
Just keep jumping through the window
yeah,
and hope
yeah,
for the best.
yeah,
And it's so naive and frustrating. But the
yeah.
worst part is that it actually works. If you keep doing the same thing to a
Hmm.
system that's non-deterministic, you may end up with. I think the Simpsons quote here would be, "It was the worst of times. It was the blurst of times." Like
Hmm.
you may end up with monkeys, like a room full of monkeys typing an
Yeah,
actual an amazing book,
yeah,
but most of the time you're not. And the
yeah.
question is, how quickly do you want to get to the book? Do you want to do it overnight? I think Steve ported a whole library from JavaScript to Python or vice versa, something like this. He ported a library in a week, which is like,
Hmm.
I don't know, is that a year-long task? I've been in like some weird like maybe the license is different, so you're kind of
Right,
grabbing some of the things that you want, like inspired by
right,
those types of repos. At least in a company, those tend to take 3 months, 4 months, 5 months.
right.
So like some of these insurmountable software projects are coming out,
Hmm.
which to me are very interesting. So I agree with Theo. I also feel like we're at the precipice or the cusp of this being a little bit more. I can make Photoshop on my own, or maybe I can make
Yeah.
what's that other one?
I mean,
Pixelmator. I can make Pixelmator on my own. Even if
I,
Photoshop are pretty
yeah. I mean,
close.
I think it's more like I've got this specific need of adding a
Right.
watermark at the bottom of my image,
Features.
and I
Yeah.
need to make sure it's a certain size or whatever it is that's optimized for whatever output I need.
Right.
That is a great use of building an application that even somebody who is not a developer, somebody
Right.
who wants to vibe code without knowing anything, yeah, they can totally do that.
Yeah, would agree. And I
Yeah.
think that's possible now. The other thing that's come to my attention, and you're probably aware of this, but maybe I've learned recently that what is it? Ostriches don't stick their heads under the sand. This is just like one of these things we've just imagined.
Okay.
But anyway, I feel like my head's been stuck in the sand here a little bit. But there's a lot going on in our industry. There's a lot of different things happening, and amongst all of this, there's naysayers for sure. And listen, there's like environmental impact of training models or running models or what have you. I get all this stuff, but there are people who just don't think they should ever use AI generated code. Period.
Mm.
Be it like a pull request, sorry, type ahead, IntelliSense, what have you. They'd rather stick to like Notepad or VI
Hmm.
or Vim or what have you, and just do that handcrafted. And I think the notion that Steve's putting out there is that like that 1x or 10x developer is going to
Yeah.
be quickly surpassed by the 10,000 times
Yeah.
developer who's not even looking at his code and landing pull requests in
Yeah.
your repo that are 18,000 lines of code long, and no one cares.
Yeah.
And you're the only one left who cares, I guess. And I kind of feel
Yeah.
like that's a bit of me, unfortunately, because I do care. Like if this is an X-ray machine and you told me that you vibe coded 18,000 lines of code, I'd be like,
Right.
just no. Like, I'll talk to you
Yeah.
in 3 years. Like
Yeah.
no, absolutely not. If it's like, I don't know, software for my Segway that I'm driving
Yeah.
down the street for recreation, it's like, I could break my face bones, but I could go faster. Like, it's a different risk profile.
Yeah.
Or if it's like a piece of software that I'm running on my TI-83 calculator that's completely offline, that I
Hmm.
just want to show to my friends. Like, these are different. These are different
Yeah.
things. This is a different track simulator here. It's
Right.
like the railroad simulator. Like, it's a different question, I guess. I'm also not sure that the software engineers that I know and love are capable of making that decision of like
Right.
where to apply or when to apply. And I'm putting myself in the same
Yeah.
boat. Like, you should actually understand this code. Don't float that out there because like somebody could die. Like
Yeah.
that's what I worry about, is like that
Yeah.
responsibility as well.
I mean, there was I think it was Procreate. The CEO said, we will not do anything AI in our, that was like 6 months ago, a year ago. I think it
Oh,
was
is that not Corel?
Procreate or,
Oh, Procreate. My apologies.
and I thought like, okay, well, are you just like signing the death sentence for your software? Like, it's great. It's going to get, some people that will love it more for the short term, but long term, it's going to become irrelevant.
Did you know
I
that company was from Tasmania?
I did not.
Yeah. So it's just trying to find, because it's not Procreate, it's called Savage Interactive. And yeah, it's for like $1 from Tasmania.
Are we
It does
talking
say
about the same
Procreate's
thing?
made in Australia. Yeah, yeah. It says Procreate's made in Australia. And then I dug into it, and it's like, no, actually, it's Tasmanian. I mean,
It's
we're close.
Australia.
They're not saying. Look into
Tasmania.
Savage Interactive, the company that owns them. They're
Huh.
Tasmanian.
Huh.
So interesting. So they probably have an office in
Wow.
Australia
Savage
because, yeah.
Interactive. Well, I mean,
Yeah. TIL.
Tasmania is not a separate country, is it?
I
I thought,
thought it was.
I
Is
thought
it
it's
territory?
part of Australia,
Oh,
isn't it?
well, listen, I will tell you that geography is it's an Australian state. It's a state. It's a
Yeah.
state. It's part of
Yeah.
Australia. I thought it was a different country. My apologies.
It's
So they,
Darwin.
yes.
Is Darwin or is Darwin on the mainland of Australia?
That is a good point.
Not
No,
all these
no.
questions that are not really relevant to the topic.
It's a city in Australia, Darwin.
Okay. Tasmania. I've never been to Tasmania. I would like to go.
I've never been outside of Sydney.
Oh yeah, I forgot that it's so big. I mean, I've been to.
It's massive.
I was thinking for some reason I thought, what's the one that's in there? So where is Darwin?
Did you say in?
Huh?
I think you said an Americanism there. In there.
In there?
In there. Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking it was where Melville Island is, which is just north of Darwin.
Gotcha.
Which is a tiny island, especially compared to, compared to Tasmania. Hobart is the town there.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I used to drive. I would often drive between Sydney and Melbourne. I'd have a class I was delivering in Sydney and then one in Melbourne, and I'd often drive along that coastal road there. And
I thought you were gonna say just walking uphill both ways.
Yeah.
Old man story time here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like an 8-hour drive, and I would usually do it in like 4 days.
Yeah, that's
slowly.
8 hours. two across 4 days.
Yeah, slowly drive through, stop off at different inns and stuff along the way,
cool.
and it was great.
I had one more thing, kind of tech related, before we go too deep in the Australian waters here. So the back end of all of this. So great, Steve's made this amazing machine. We're vibe coding everything. We're YOLOing all of this into Perforce or GitLab or GitHub, Azure DevOps, whatever the heck you're putting into. The amount of code that lands in your repo is non-trivial. And you can have this machinery approve all your pull requests. I would highly recommend that you don't.
Right.
What I have been doing is assigning PR bots to these. Have you played with PR bots at all?
No.
Where they like look at the code coming in and they start reviewing your code.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I've been playing. You have? Okay, so I've been playing with CodeRabbit, which I think is in general free until you like hit a certain limit.
And
You'll definitely
as
go
long as
way
you're
past.
on a public repo, it's free, isn't it? Isn't
Yeah,
it?
if you're
Isn't
on
it?
a, yeah, you did it. I love this. It's fantastic. Yeah, so yes, there's a certain limit to how many times it will run per hour. I think
Okay.
it's like 10 or something. You will quickly exhaust that.
Yeah.
The other is that you can at Claude to have it review your PRs, and you can also assign Copilot. And I think there might be a way to use Cursor,
Hmm.
maybe Windsurf, but I think Cursor at least can also be introduced. So I'm
Hmm.
using three of them.
Hmm.
CodeRabbit, when it works, is pretty good. It's kind of like a medium engineer,
Right.
kind of handy. Copilot, I hate to say disparaging things, like it's just really not handy. Copilot actively causes problems.
Yeah.
It will create PRs that relate to PRs that aren't related. It's just like a fact finding mission. It doesn't find any facts, and it like closes it. It's just like it's a mess. Actually,
Hmm.
it's a great idea. It's very incremental, very
Right.
enterprisey. Unfortunately, it delivers not much on my end. Like
Right.
seriously, hit me up. I finally resurrected my Twitter account. Hit me up on X or whatever. I'm happy to talk to people doing Copilot, but like I'm sure you're aware, just on the PR side, it's not that great.
Yeah.
Claude is very interesting in that sometimes it's extremely handy. Most of the time, it's utterly useless. And the
Hmm.
only one that I haven't tried yet is, sorry, of these that apparently work is Codex. I don't know if you've tried the
Hmm.
Codex PR bot, but that's the next one I'm going to try. But I feel like Claude sometimes is brilliant on these PRs, and sometimes is just so not helpful, like
Yeah.
actively unhelpful. It's like having that team member, and this used to be me. Just they just walk up and they're like, "Yeah, LGT." I'm like, "Let's get this merged." Like, let's go. And not looking at the code, just like a
Right.
sniff test. Looks good. I trust you. You've generally done good work. Let's put it in the prod. Sometimes that happens, and it's like, how did you miss all this stuff? It doesn't even compile. Uh, a lot of that's in there, and it feels like having a human in the loop as well as the AI in the loop, because there's a lot of code, is
Hmm.
almost necessary. And a lot of the interface of what you're seeing on this side of the equation is or are security bugs, dependabot updates, or like integration problems, or GitHub actions, or CI issues. All of that crops up now. And luckily, I've been a release manager before, but like I feel like if you've not been a release manager, you're not ready for the onslaught of this release train. Because I think Steve put everybody on a train, and a normal train would have a train and many cars behind it. This train is all engines. It's like
Hmm.
it's 50 engines all backed up, and they're full of people. It's
Yeah.
got a mayor, it's got polecast. They're all doing a ton of work, and they may land 10 PRs per train in the
Right.
space of 2 or 3 hours. And it's just like it's just so much that even if you're in like a Zoom meeting trying to approve, like you can't, your phone's gonna go,
Yeah.
like your phone will just be swimming in PRs. There's just so much delivered in such a short
Yeah.
period of time that it feels like you need another team to deal with it, but don't, because you need to see what's going on. Otherwise, it's like a precise foot
Yeah.
gun. I think somebody described it as earlier today. It's like it's a very precise foot gun. You will shoot yourself in the toes one by one until
Hmm.
there's no foot left. It's sorry to be so graphic, but it is like really dangerous. And it is, I think, an interesting way to look at what a code base is from maybe more of a managerial standpoint,
Hmm.
which again, I have done before. I wasn't great at it, but being a release manager, watching all the TypeScript, the Angulars, the many versions of React, someone threw Rust in there, and like,
Right.
yeah, we're using Pinecone DB for some reason, and somebody else over here is using PG Vector. Like all of that happens, and you have to decide like which architectural way to go.
Right.
Like, did you look at the license? Like, this doesn't have a
Right.
license. Where did you get this code from? Like, what
Right.
is all of this? Will happen. They'll just grab things from random. So it's yeah. So I sorry, JTOF, we've gone pretty far here, but like yeah, that's a lot of thoughts on code. But like, if you can't manage the back end of
Yeah.
what's being generated out of a system like this, the flywheel is so insurmountable that you've got to be ready for it.
Yeah.
I think I've said my piece. So that's Gastown, folks. Perilous journey, but definitely
One of
I
the
would
things
recommend.
I when I did I asked Perplexity, what was that story about TL draw and about, and one of the things that it brought in addition was the legal consequences of accepting a PR that is AI generated.
Right.
Not just the legal consequences to the person that organized the AI to write
Right.
the code, but
The
as
approver.
the owner of the repo that's accepting the code, what what risks are there?
Hmm.
Even if you don't know that it was AI generated, you think it's not AI generated, but it turns out to be,
Right.
and it's got code that has a license on it.
Yeah, I think for some repos, like maybe this is okay. I think when Daniel was talking about curl, I'm trying to think of the stakes. Curl is deployed in space, I think, by at least JAXA. So Japan, if not also NASA. So like curl's in space. So
Hmm.
don't send me your Gen AI or PRs because like you could cause problems on ISS or something like that. Curl might be in cars. It's definitely in phones. Like curl
Yeah.
is it's everywhere. It's kind of like ImageMagick in that
Yeah.
it's proliferated. It's one of those libraries that everybody uses.
Yeah.
And I feel like these is common good the right term, but like one of these pieces of software that's fundamental across all
Yeah.
of the other pieces of software we use. I would say that the risk is pretty high for just YOLO accepting stuff. Now,
Right.
again, Gastown is on the opposite end of the spectrum, but I also feel like maybe you should have like a stable version and then like the vibe coded version that
Right.
hasn't fully gone through the community testing or
Right.
something like that. But then again, he's not being paid for this. He's retired. He's just having fun. So I get it. But I think he's
Yeah.
onto something. It just needs a little bit more rigor for me
Hmm.
to fully get on board.
Yeah.
Did you
But
see that graph
in
he put out of
no,
the engineer types? Oh,
no.
okay. Pull up the welcome. Sorry for the readers out there who can't see this. Pull up the Welcome to Gastown article that was written Jan 1. I think it's 2 graphs in. There's a diagram of different levels of coders, and the first one, the first coder, I think is just you in your editor. So imagine Vim. The second one, I believe, is like VS Code. So you've got like an accept. So you've got a selection. You can accept or cancel. The third one is you're suggesting code and it's giving me back results and you're looking at this. The next one is you're managing multiple agent windows. The next one after that is you're managing maybe 10 or 12 agent windows. And the one after that is you're managing a quote unquote company of these. And
Right.
he's basically saying if you're not at the point now where you're managing 5 to 11 agent windows, and I think that's level 6 or 7, you're not ready for Gastown because
Yeah.
Gastown is like the level 8. And if you're not there, you're not going to be able to understand what's happening. Like you
Yeah.
can't go from Vim to Gastown. He's like, you need to be this tall to ride this ride.
Yeah.
You're not allowed in. Basically, go away. And I think that's responsible on his part. But I think what also happens is that engineers are now looking at this thinking like, oh, I don't want to be left behind. Like we were talking about
Yeah.
that 10,000 time engineer. And I'm not sure if this is the right way to develop going forward, but it's certainly a way to develop a lot of code. And I don't know if the right message is being put across here. Like I feel like we're having a hard time hiring junior engineers or finding junior engineer positions. I don't think this gauntlet is what you want to put down. It's more like how do we welcome people into this fray? How do we get them used to this way of working because they're new to the industry. Maybe they're even on Gemini right now, just typing in things and it's making apps or what have you. I'm saying Gemini here, but just any kind of also ran model that people use a lot of.
Right.
Maybe they're in Llama 3 generated code and Llama's going to get better or what have you. But that the way of working is using models now, but in 3 months or 6 months or a year, those models are going to be completely different. And I do feel like this way of working is going to become more common and costs may even increase, but it's going to become more common and thinking about the way of managing a team and this virtual team is going to be more and more important.
So you said something there, and it reminded me of a post
So I'm really
by
ranty today.
a post from about almost a month ago.
Okay.
I've never felt this much behind as a programmer.
Yeah. I just read the title and I
Karpathy.
was like, ooh, I don't want to. Yeah, because I do. I feel behind. I'm seeing people on my team just like
But
it's
you saw who
ridiculous.
wrote that?
I did not.
Andre
Who wrote it?
Karpathy.
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't realize he
Yeah.
was the author.
Yeah.
I think I saw Theo's reaction vid to it, or
Yeah.
maybe it was Prime. Yeah. It's true. It also feels like it's kind of taking some of the joy out of this thing. Anyway, I don't want to be a downer. In terms of pickups, have I admitted to you lately that I'm addicted to Switch physical games? Have I come out?
Switch Fizzle games.
Switch physical games. Sorry,
Physical.
fizzle would be fun. Yeah, this is my list. It's coming in physical.
Switch physical games. What does that mean?
All right. So what happened with the Switch 2 is they released something called a game key
Mm.
code. And
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
going to be important in a second. But basically, I think the Switch physical limitation is somewhere around 40 gigabytes in terms of storage, like what they can put on the cart. So
Right.
anything bigger than that, they typically say you have to go online, maybe it's for DLC or day one
Yep.
patch or what have you. Or on the Switch 2, the plan was let's just give them a code. They've got to go online anyway. They can grab it down. I'm not really a fan of this just because I want to
Yeah.
play the game.
Yeah.
What I realized though is I was looking for these games that there's a whole secondary market of limited edition Switch games,
Hmm.
and I was looking for some. I found a couple that were like $120. There's one. There's a guy on YouTube called Video Game Donkey who I really enjoyed, and he started a video game company with his YouTube proceeds and started to prop up indie creators. And one of them was
Hmm.
Animal Well, and I got that. Great limited edition, no problem. They're releasing a new version this week for general distribution. That'll be $33, so it's like a quarter of the cost that everybody could buy. Whatever. The other one that I was looking for is from this company called Panic. Have you ever heard of
Oh,
Panic
yeah.
Software
Yeah.
before? Yeah, they released or they produced this game called Untitled Goose Game, which I'm
Right.
very happy to have gotten. But it was also produced by like Limited Run Games. So I think
Okay.
I'm at the point now where I'm trying to find games that I can play and maybe are they called niblets? I can hand off to my nieces and
Right.
nephews, that are like family fun, Switch One kind of games. So that's where I'm at now. So I
Yeah.
think I've purchased 7 or 8 rarer Switch
Yeah.
games that I'm still
Panic
working my way
Panic is a company I want to support. I
through. Yeah.
want them to do well, and yet they keep screwing me over.
Yeah, what is this thing?
God, that
The Playdate?
game, the
Just send it to
Playdate,
me.
what a
Yeah,
waste of time that thing was.
I think it's fantastic. But
I
yeah,
thought it was.
send me
I
the
thought
Playdate.
I was super excited when I saw it, and now it's like I was, early person to like order one, and I get it, and it's like these games totally suck. Nothing. I mean, you go through the
I
entire
did this on
season.
purpose, by the way. I
You
knew this
do
would
this.
happen.
Go through the entire season of the first games, and it's like there was one game I can't remember what it was, but one of
It
them
was a
that
fishing
like
game. Everyone said the fishing game was good because it had the fishing
remotely
controller.
okay, but all of them are just so bad. How can you build a whole series of games that all suck? I don't understand. And how do some people seem to enjoy it? I don't understand it.
So there's one coming out for the Switch soon called UFO 50. Have you heard of this? I
No.
think it might be coming out for iOS as well. It's 50 kind of random games, smaller games that would be, I want to say like late Nintendo quality or very early Super Nintendo quality. I think you would hate this just as much as the Playdate, but it's extremely popular. I think the pre-orders are sold out now.
Hmm.
Oh no, it's still on pre-order if you want to get it. So UFO 50, I've not played it. I've been waiting for the Switch physical. It's $33 US, I think.
Wow.
Pre-order 49 Canadian. It's full of games that you will probably hate, but guaranteed it's got like 2 or 3 that you would love that no one else would love, which is kind of interesting about UFO 50. They're all like kind of well made. There's just a lot of them. It's like, do you remember the was it Super 52 or something like that for Nintendo back in the day? It was just like a bunch of cheap games on one cartridge and they're all terrible. This is just like that, except they removed 2 games and they're mostly good, which is interesting. Anyway, UFO 50 or Switch Physical, those are my recommendations.
Okay. But like they did Firewatch, which I think is really good.
Panic to Firewatch?
Huh?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that's the one I'm thinking of. Oh, maybe that's not the one I'm thinking of. But they also made Transmit and Prompt, which is great.
Yes. So Prompt is a virtual shell, and
SSH
Transmit
app
is FTP
for iOS and
SFTP.
macOS, and Transmit is FTP.
I think Transmit's the best FTP software I've ever used.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah. And then they have Nova.
I wanted to love Nova.
I want to love it. I have it. I've renewed it, and I keep thinking just because I want to support them. And I've renewed each time, and I still like. It's just.
I know. I still like Sublime Text. It's been years. I'm still holding on to my Sublime Text license. It's just fast. What about yourself? Have you purchased anything? Done anything we should know? Gone on any vacations?
I have not purchased anything.
Have you landed
I bought
40,000
shoes.
line PR? Oh, shoes.
I
We
bought a
definitely
pair
need
of
to hear your
shoes
shoes.
that suck.
Okay, don't tell us about your shoes then.
So I am returning them my Jim Green African Rangers because they
Uh,
suck.
are they are they five-toed, five-fingered?
They are not five-toed, but they are supposed to be barefoot, but except they like remove all the aspects of barefoot. Like the idea of barefoot is
Oh,
that you start with a wide toe box so your toes have enough room. These are
right.
super narrow. You
Oh,
have a
that's awful.
flexible,
Like straight up, that's awful.
flexible sole, and they're a little bit flexible, but
Uh,
when your feet are in, they're like totally disconnected from the ground, which is another key thing.
sounds like wooden
Um,
clogs.
and yeah,
It's
I mean,
terrible.
they're just I don't understand how these are. I mean, there's a couple of reviews on YouTube because there's not that many people into the idea of barefoot shoes, which
Right.
I think is bonkers because they're just so much more
Agreed.
comfortable.
Agreed.
Um, but anyway, I'm trying to think. Did I buy anything? I don't.
Did you see Apple's subscription service for
I
all of
did. I
their
did.
Plus apps? I'm
Um,
glad I bought all those apps before this happened. I mean, I
yeah.
think I'm glad. I'm not sure if I'm glad, but I do own all the apps that are
I
in there
mean,
now.
yeah, I own all of them, so I don't know if there's gonna be any. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's any reason to think that they're going to remove um, purchase
Pixelmator, I
only.
think, right, would be the only one. The one they just bought, was it not Pixelmator?
Pixelmator, yeah.
'Cause there are
Have they
two of
already
them, right? There's
removed the ability to buy it?
not
No,
yet.
it
The
didn't
Pixelmator
sound.
Pro is part of the Creative Studio.
Yep, but it didn't look like. I mean, there's a whole lot of rumors about what they're gonna do,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there's
It doesn't look like
no
it's still there. Yeah, it's still not removed.
there's no indication that any of the apps are going to be removed from being able to buy it outright.
Oh, that's good.
Um, but I mean, the only one that is already a subscription is Final Cut Pro on the iPad, which you can do.
Oh, right.
There's a couple of things that you can do that you can't do elsewhere, and so I pay
Okay.
the. I mean, and it's $9.99 a month, or I don't know, maybe $100 for the year. So it's buy it for one project and it pays for the rest of the year, and then but the whole suite is $3 more. Like, well, okay, I can kind of. I mean, if I didn't already, I, in a way, I could almost justify it because
Right.
every time I need to download, I need to log out of iTunes or out of the Apple Store or App
Yep.
Store as my main account with the account that I've had for a lot 20 years 15 years or
Mhm.
whatever, since 2000, about 10 years, 14 years, since 2012 when I came back from the Netherlands, because my old account is a Dutch one and it has a
Oh,
bunch of things I've downloaded or bought on that Dutch account because
right.
I was living in the Netherlands,
Hmm.
and you have to pay with a Dutch credit card and all that, so I have that account. There's no way to merge these accounts.
Right.
And so if I need to download, a new machine, I need to download Final Cut Pro, I need to log in as that Dutch account, and then I can download it. And then all the like, some of the notifications are still in Dutch, which is annoying.
Hmm.
But then, I mean, just to be able to have it on a U.S. account, I mean, is it worth it for that? Probably not. I don't know. But at some point, it's like annoying to have to log in as that
Hmm.
for those types of things. Um,
I will say Google allows you
if
to
there
have
is
two accounts
additional
together.
content,
Yeah.
if there's additional content, maybe it's justifies it. I don't know.
So Google will let you have two accounts together. Like I had a Canadian account and a US account under one Gmail account, and everything was great until I tried to make a family and do family sharing. And they said I had to
Oh,
remove my US account from the Canadian entity,
oh, okay.
which I did, but it took all of my Gmail purchases, Google Photos, Gmail,
Oh,
like
yeah,
all of it gone.
yeah,
And it is like it hasn't left yet. So I've got to go in
yeah.
and like start deleting things. But they're like, we're just gonna stop all your Gmail as soon as you stop paying. I was like, I'm paying over here. They're like, I
Right.
mean, Doesn't matter. This is a
Yeah.
different account in an account. How does
Right.
that happen? So I got the opposite problem where in order to have my
Well,
spouse
so
join
Apple
my
will
Gmail
let you
account,
merge
I
the
did it.
two, but you lose
Oh,
all the
okay.
purchases.
Ah,
It's like,
yeah, that's
why
essentially
would I
what
do that?
Gmail did.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, I had to. Yeah, I mean, I had to.
yeah.
So yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's. I guess they're legally required to do that.
Right.
I mean, it's more of a probably a legal requirement.
Yeah.
But I was like, well,
Because
why?
people move. Yeah.
Yeah, people move. I moved.
Right.
Um,
I guess what it tells us, Matt, is that the majority of people on this great green earth don't move
yeah,
countries. They don't.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it doesn't make sense. They're not incentivized to
They
do this.
die 20 miles away from where they were born.
Yeah. Apparently, we do it in kilometers, but yeah, apparently it's 10K,
Yeah,
which is probably close to 20. Yeah.
yeah. Did
That's where
I
you, you live and die.
did we talk about the church that burned down in Amsterdam?
No.
There's a
What?
church.
You burnt
I
down a church?
Huh? No. That was a there was a the Vondelkerk
Hmm.
in Amsterdam. So I used to live on a street called Kanaalstraat, which is um, about there's 2 blocks away from the what's the name of the big street? Anyway, you cross over that big street, and then you go 1 block in, you pass by the Vondelkerk, and then you go
Hmm.
into the Vondelpark, the big park, the massive park in the middle of Amsterdam. And so I used to walk past this church a lot. Anytime I go into the park, and I go into the park probably every couple of days.
Mm.
So it's this great little church. And I think it is one of the few churches in Amsterdam that's still an active church. Most of them
Right.
have been converted into restaurants or offices or apartments, um, which I think would be a cool place to live. But anyway,
Mhm.
uh, yeah, and on January 1st, well, New Year's Eve, in the Netherlands or in Amsterdam, there is no one fireworks show for the city. There's no organized thing. So everybody buys fireworks and everybody sets them off from every open square in town. And so if you have a roof deck, so I had a roof deck most of my time living there, and you stand up there and there's like fireworks all around you, all around, and within things start around probably 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. As people start setting stuff off by about 1 o'clock, even on my deck, the smoke is so thick from all
Oh,
these fireworks. It's because there's just people setting off so
right.
much stuff. And you always wonder, well, I mean, one of those fireworks is going to go the wrong way and hit a building, and there goes the building. Because I mean, these are old buildings,
Yeah.
so one of the fireworks, I only saw news about it like the day after, so there might have
Hmm.
been more analysis since then. But right at that time, it was that some firework hit the tower, and the tower kind of burned down, and um, it looked like the church itself was still intact, but yeah, it was.
Wow.
I don't think I would have cared normally, but it was so close to where I lived, that yeah, it was
Yeah, I,
interesting.
I quickly read through the reports. They say they're not sure why it happened. Maybe they found a cause, but
Yeah,
it did burn down between the hours of
yeah,
midnight and
yeah,
1 a.m. really,
yeah,
really quickly, and only
yeah,
the walls remained,
yeah,
which is super sad.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone past there and seen weddings coming out of there and all sorts, uh, all the usual get large gatherings, because it was right by the film museum and other parts in the Fondle Park. Well, it's no longer the film museum, but other things that were right there. It was, yeah, great place.
It's a really cool spot. All right.
Yeah, I can't think of
Shall we
any
find
other
the button?
purchases. Yeah, I guess we'll
We, we,
find that
we,
button.
we can end on time. That's
Yeah,
also okay.
what? Well, thanks everyone for your comments.
Thank you very much.
Um,
Yeah, I think we had 6, 7 people at one point. Thank you
yeah,
so much for popping
yeah.
by. Let me
Alrighty,
know
let's
how it
find
goes
that
in
button.
Gastown. I'm super interested.
No, I'm not. I'm
Please
not
do.
going to do
At me. I want to know about
it.
it.
Okay.